Hello everybody, this is Espio the Chameleon, and today I will be reading you all Dragon Tales Lost Episode, a Dragon Tales Lost Episode creepypasta. Now this was found by a creepypasta land wiki, whatever that creepypasta Wikipedia is called. The Shadow Raider and the Shadow Lioness read this creepypasta. So did Undog. So I thought I could probably give this a good read. I could probably give it a read to see whether I like it or not. Now, before I begin, Dragon Tales is, for those who don't know, Dragon Tales is Bailey Maloney's favorite cartoon show back when she was a kid. So without further ado, let's start this story. A few months ago, I went outside to check the mail. I have one of those really old mailboxes that is right outside my house. I looked through the mail. It was all bills, flyers, and magazines. Then I noticed something else at the bottom of the mailbox. A videotape. Now sometimes I find things in the mailbox, like bugs, garbage, and things like that. A few years back, we had found a squirrel had made a nest there. But a videotape? Really? I picked it up and looked at it. It looked like a normal videotape. I looked at the side. There was a shiny sticker of a butterfly on it. I peeked into the mailbox, hoping to find some explanation for the videotape, but I found nothing else. I walked inside and set up my VCR, which had been collecting dust by then. I inserted the tape in and waited until it was finished rewinding. When it was finished, I pressed play on my remote. It was 10:30 p.m. at night, and I grabbed some popcorn and a soda and plumped myself onto the sofa. I was ready to watch this mysterious tape. The video started with one of those WNED indents. I had last seen that indent when I was maybe 6 or 7. What followed was an advert to a theme park, Marineland.
Did somebody mention my name?
Huh? Oh, sorry, Marine. That's a name for the theme park.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Anyway, what followed was an advert to a theme park, Marineland, the old advert from the 90s. During that advert, the screen kept flashing. I couldn't make out what was flashing because it only lasted for a quarter of a second. The Marineland ad was cut off, and it went to pitch black. I was about to rewind to see what was flashing when a familiar thing came up. It was PBS Kids. There was a brief advert for Chuck E. Cheese's. I smiled as I watched my childhood return to me. Suddenly, it faded to what show was coming up next. Coming up next, Dragon Tales on PBS Kids. I'm sure most of you know the show Dragon Tales. It's better than that you've seen at least 5 episodes of the show before you understand any of this. The intro of the show started. Everything was alright, except there was no sound. It cut off in the middle of the intro and cut to a picture of Max sitting on a chair with the words Dragon Tales with a Z crudely written above him in red. The thing that frightened me the most was Max's facial expression. He was pale and his eyes were tiny. He sat there as if he was trying to smile but needed to cry, almost like the expression of a man about to hang himself. The episode started. It showed an outside view of Max and Emmy's house, as it always does. The sky was dark red, and the sun was an orangish color. Max walked in holding his elbow. "Ow!" he exclaimed. "I bumped my elbow on the table." Emmy stood up. She had a frown on her face. Maybe if you pay me, then your elbow wouldn't hurt so much," she replied. "Well, there is the F word in there, but I'm not going to say it. I was shocked at what I just heard. She had said what I thought she had just said. More significantly, there were no credits or episode title. Then Max said, "Emmy, Mommy told us not to say that word." Emmy took a deep breath before she could speak. Max screamed, "Don't do it, Emmy," he cried. "I don't want to live through this anymore." Do what? I wondered. What was Emmy going to do? I was starting to get scared at this point. I knew I was not watching a normal episode of Dragon Tales. They continued their conversation, but the rest was barely audible. Finally, Amy suggested in a clear voice, "Why don't we go to Dragonland?" The dragon wallpaper was black and bright red. The dragons on the wall had gigantic smiles on their faces. They held each other hand in hand and chanted, I wish, with all my heart, to fly with dragons in a land apart." After they arrived in Dragonland, they looked for their friends. They found Ord sitting behind a rock. Max approached him. "Hey, Ord, want to play with my new truck?" he asked. Ord turned around. I could hear bits of radio static. At first, I couldn't hear what the voices were saying, but I began to hear what the man on the radio was saying. What I heard was, "Well, Jim, this is a terrible situation we have here. Police have confirmed that Air Force One was hijacked by a few members of Al-Qaeda. The plane crashed into the Statue of Liberty in New York City, the city where President Obama was supposed to appear. We are unsure who else was on that plane, or if there were any casualties. I don't know anything else, but all I can tell you is that the Statue of Liberty is in flames, and the plane was carrying President Barack Obama." During the time the radio was playing, Ord was sitting behind a rock. He had no expression on his face. He was just sitting there, lifeless. He wasn't dead, but his face almost looked like it. I thought back to Max's expression on the chair. Once the static ended, Ord walked away. He was expressionless as he walked in a straight line around Dragonland. The sky was blood red. Ord then gave a slick smile. A gigantic scream erupted out of nowhere. It cut to a zoom in of a photorealistic image of now emaciated Ord lying dead, with his eyes ripped out and a message carved out on his head. In Ord's blood, it said, "Hail the Dark Lord." It cut to black at that second. It then faded into a church. The bell rang in a distorted, deep tone. The sky was still blood red. The radio static came back. "Breaking news," the anchorman proclaimed. "President Barack Obama is dead. He was killed this afternoon in a plane crash along with Vice President Joe Biden and 55 other government officials. Also on that plane was rock and roll legend Chuck Berry and 40 other people. Air Force One was hijacked by 5 Al-Qaeda members, whose names have not yet been confirmed." The anchorman's voice shook with terror as he spoke. "This is a terrible, shocking day for not only the United States, but America. But also, this is a terrible, shocking day for not only the United States of America, but for the entire world." The response was, after that, it went to static. It showed paintings of the inside of the church. At that moment, I assumed this had something to do with the death of Barack Obama. It zoomed in on the coffin. It was photorealistic. The voice of Zach suddenly shouted, "Cassie, no! Cassie, no!" It cut to a black and white video. It was silent, except for random beeping noises. And by silent, all you can hear was a film projector running. It showed Cassie walking around in a black and a white background. She just kept walking. The beeping sounds got louder. Cassie stopped. She walked over towards the screen. I could hear her breathing. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her teeth were broken. Her hair was shaved off. At this point, I thought Cassie could hear me. She opened her mouth. What followed was the most ear-piercing sound. Loudest sound that I have ever heard in my life. It wasn't like a scream, but a really messed up beeping sound that was louder than any human could hear. My ears sometimes still ring from that. That's how bad it was. In fact, I'm lucky I'm not deaf. Cassie continued to stare at me. I was getting scared at this moment, and I didn't want to watch anymore. I tried to shut it off. Said Cassie in the voice of a crying, choking woman. "We must pray to the Dark Lord." Then it faded to black. And that's where I'll stop for the first part. Stay tuned for part 2 of Espio Reads Dragon Tales Lost Episode.